record on this computer. Why not? All right.
The button.
The button. So let's see. Previously on the Lamplighters adventures in Icewind Dale, the party had made its way to made it way. Right. Damn it.
That's why everybody was like, no, don't do it. Don't
do it. Don't do it. Right. Had made its way back to East Haven, and they number one attended a seance that had actually some odd things that were kind of revealed and or told in that seance. Now, whether or not they're true, who knows, but sure seemed like valuable information. They also managed to reconnect with their old friend and good egg, Igthid. Iggy. Let's go with Iggy. Yeah. And you guys managed to talk Iggy into revealing where the cauldron had been hidden. And as was suspected, Iggy had chosen the path of least resistance, had wandered out to a ravine and just kind of chucked it. It's fine. These things happen, right? And then after, going into the ravine, after retrieving said cauldron plenty, the ground shook and hissed, and the Lamplighters encountered I guess you would call it a less threatening version of a Rimmeraz. I like that word, Rimmeraz. It sounds like an album title from like the 70s. I'm probably thinking Razzmatazz, but
Razzmatazz.
Yeah, Razzmatazz.
Fun to say.
Yeah, but Rimmeraz, Razzmatazz, and all that jazz. So, and you guys were able to dispatch that Rimmeraz with a certain quickness that was, kind of disheartening to your DM, who thought maybe it would be a little bit of a challenge, but turns out not so much. Maybe you guys are a little OP. That's okay, though. We could fix that. So
the other possibility is maybe you need to make the Remoras like cute and relatable so we feel bad about killing. Maybe it's not about challenging us mechanically, but morally.
Maybe name it after one of our grandparents.
I don't know your grandparents' names, though.
You could find out. I have faith in you.
Yeah, I could, but that would involve like doxing you or something.
Maybe it claims to be Broad.
Call my mom.
Turned into it and can't turn back.
Right? It's just like Broad's like, hey guys.
No, I'm your friend.
No, I'm your friend. And they're like,
I don't know.
How do we know it's you, Broad? He's like, want to eat some dwarves? And they're like, oh fuck, it's Broad. Oh no, it's Broad. It really is him. Anyway, you dispatched the young, less threatening version of a Rimmeraz with a quickness, and then proceeded on back to the Lost Spire of Nithril, or so you think. Interestingly enough, I do indeed want to show you guys some artwork that I found that was pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Am I looking?
Look at the Roll20.
I got it. Oh yeah.
So so we didn't really discuss what you guys did. You arrived back to the location in the evening of the 24th
The power.
of Flame Rule. And the question becomes, do you guys go back into the Lost Spire, or do you hang out outside?
Much more
Odric
fun.
is absolutely going to suggest we stay outside.
I thought, and if we are doing mulligan totally about this, I thought young Tax did the oopsie. I was just like, oh, that's cool, and went and touched something, and that initiated something, and I do believe that's where we left off, but I could be wrong.
Odric, do you have a tent?
Mm.
I don't think you actually did that, Tax.
Okay.
I think
I
you're
don't think
thinking of
so
the
either.
first time we went to the Spire where you tried to run up and touch it, and I tackled you.
Yes,
Okay.
that would
Yes.
be that would be true.
Odric responds to you, Dalen. I don't have a tent per se, but I certainly have adequate shelter for the lot of us.
Okay.
Um,
I
when it
look
is time to make camp,
suspiciously
I will
at
make camp
Audra.
for us all. Suspiciously what?
I look suspiciously at you.
Yeah, sure.
I don't say anything, but when you're like, I don't have a tent, but I can shelter us all, I'm like, probably some like, please God, make me a tent bullshit going on tonight.
So regardless of whether or not the rest of the party wants to stay outside or not, Odric is absolutely planning to stay outside, where he feels more in control and safer. He's going to, I don't know, maybe 60 feet from the entrance of the spire, is going to start ritually casting Leomin's tiny hut.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, you are able to complete said ritual with what does Audric's version of Leomin's hut look like? Is it actually Leomin's hut? I mean, because that's kind of weird. Or is it more like Audric's hut?
It is more like Audric's hut. So let me actually read the spell description to see how much of this I actually get to
It's basically
decide.
just a dome.
Yeah, let's see. 10-foot radius immovable dome of force. Okay. Springs into existence around and above you and remains stationary for the duration. Spell ends if you leave its area. The area being inside the dome, so I can't leave the dome.
Right.
Sure. That's fine. 9 creatures of medium size or smaller can fit inside the dome with me. The spell fails if its area includes a larger creature or more than 9 creatures. Creatures and objects within the dome, when you cast the spell, can move through it freely. All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through it. So I motion for people to be around me when I cast this. Or I say, if you'd like to take shelter with me, please stand here. So if you don't stand here, then you
No.
won't be within the 10 feet.
No
Yeah.
explanation or anything. You're just like, if you want to be sheltered, stand around me. And
Yeah.
everybody's like,
No, that's it.
I mean, I think I could pretty well figure out he's gonna like do some god shit, so I do not stand around him.
Is it God shit? So I think the way the spell works is anybody else can go in and out.
yeah, correct.
Let's see. So
Well, you
creatures
have to
and
be-
objects within the dome, when I cast this spell, can move freely through it. All other creatures and objects are barred from passing through it.
Right.
So technically by that letter, I don't get to designate anybody. It's whoever around me
Oh.
gets to be.
Wow. That's probably right. I don't think I've ever played it that way. Yeah.
I haven't either, but if that's the way you want your hut to work, then you go ahead and do that.
I mean, that's what's written, so
Huh?
that's what Audric's going to
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
So yeah, he motions
Do you
for
want
anyone
some?
who
I'll show
wants
you.
to, be comfortable and be sheltered,
Okay.
to kind of stand here, and he gestures in 10-foot 10-foot
Well,
radius,
okay,
so
just a
20 feet diameter around him.
Thank you, baby.
Pretty sizable circle.
Pax will ride in on her steel defender and just kind of look around.
Oh,
Doesn't look structurally stable.
is this before or after I've cast it?
Right.
Oh, this is
So
before.
so here's a question for you, Audric. This ability, where does it come from? Is it because that is arcane magic? It
Yes.
is not divine magic. So
So this ability is a specific subclass spell. So it is for my domain. It is a domain spell given to me,
interesting.
and it is considered a cleric spell
Alrighty.
when I
Well,
cast it. But yes, I understand how it is not normally given to clerics.
right. Dalen, while he's doing this, give me an Arcana check.
Oh, I rolled a 1.
I'm a wizard in armor.
Wow.
Um,
I like that roll.
it looks. I mean, you're pretty sure he's doing magic. You think?
All right.
Actually, even with a 1, I don't. That's still a 7.
Yeah.
And you are familiar enough with arcane magic and divine magic. So, what is odd about his casting of something that you normally perceive to be, kind of in your purview and maybe not his?
Yep.
Is he is tapping a different little part of the weave to create this effect, and
Pulling
it
a different
is
thread.
right. It is definitely more of a divine or clerical
Okay.
effect rather than an arcane effect, which is odd to you because I don't think you have ever seen like a sort of cross domain spell. Like normally this is not possible. Like
Okay.
you could there's not a clerical spell book anywhere because that ain't how it works. So for this, he's effectively doing arcane magic without a spell book in a ritual manner. So I assume, Audric, you are like walking around in a circle, shaking a rabbit's foot or something.
Yeah, so he walks the perimeter of this 10-foot radius or 20-foot diameter kind of circle, and as he's doing it, the symbol on his shield doesn't, like, lighting up is a strong word. It's more like, if you remember, like the previous stuff he's done has been more twilight ish related, so there's twilight emanating from his holy symbol, so it lights up because it's still dark outside, but it is dim, and more you say that's glowing, but it's not really shedding any light.
Got it.
It's more like it's sparkling.
Yeah,
If it's
basically.
twilight. Yeah. Okay.
Twinkling. And as he does it, he kind of waves his hand in sort of this uniform but precise motion, not necessarily the same motions that you would consider like arcane spellcasting, but more
Different kind of ritual.
different kind of ritual. Yep. And as he's doing that, you have a minute to decide if you want to be in the circle or not.
Okay. Who's going to be in the circle?
I'll be in the circle.
Tax is in the circle on her still defender, like watching what he's doing, going, what are you building? That doesn't seem like it's going to be a structurally sound foundation. Like,
It's just a circle. Like you haven't done anything. Yeah.
I know, I'm just like, that, how are you going to do load bearing? I mean, and just like sketching out what you're doing, taking notes.
You're in the circle? Cool. Connie?
Siston, you actually, you actually recognize the, kind of the motive divine force at work, but it is unfamiliar to you. Like, this is like, normally you ask for your spells. This is something like, if you asked for it, you would get a null response, like like so it's odd. It's a little different. Connie, are you going to be in there?
Of course not.
Okay.
I thought I was making myself very clear on this point.
Okay, very good.
I'm reading my book and glaring at this man praying to, hostile outsiders.
So, for the purposes of tonight, Dalph is with the party. I mean, the people who are normally with the party are with the party.
Yes.
There is a situation that I have already discussed with Allie, but I think it's safe to say Allie Sandalphon has absolutely no problem hanging out in a dome.
Yes, I agree with that.
Right.
Assessment.
Tax, as he completes his ritual, this kind of shimmering ghostly force kind of emanates up from the top. It looks like a tiny little sun begins to set, and as it does, it dissolves into a twilight light, a gloaming, as it were, that shimmers down into a force, into a dome. It's very pretty, and then you lose sight of it, becomes invisible. Are any of you going back in to the spire where your friend's statue is?
For the night, Audric is staying right inside the dome, which is comfortable and dry.
Right.
And as soon as like the ritual is done, you'll see Audric start casting another spell.
Okay.
I'm going to push Audric out of the dome.
That would be something.
And then the dome goes off.
And this spell happens much faster. And we cast Create Food and Water. And we now have plenty of food and water. But no dishes. Well, yeah. Well, okay. So I guess technically, like, he pulls out some of the stuff that he's got. And like, he puts down a picnic blanket, I guess,
Yeah, do it.
Sure. And then
a picnic blanket.
Yeah, and then if you have any sort of, like, he asks if you have any sort of water storage.
Cool. Yo, yeah.
Suddenly they're all filled.
A little can or a little cup hanging from my belt, ready.
Point of order.
Starts just going through her bag, like, I think I can do that. Hold on.
Hold up. Point of order.
Yes.
Where's the cauldron?
It's inside that hut.
That's someone else's answer, not mine. That's for sure.
I mean, you don't have to use the cauldron, but it can store that water if you really want to.
This is true.
And if you just want to be like obnoxious and like a little like bourgeois, you could use the water from Create Food and Water to go into the cauldron and then fire that up and make a stew for like 30 people.
Which is
You
going
know,
to be
it-
much better food than the
And
bland food I
then you
created.
could just all be sitting around going like, oh, we have so much food. Oh, man, I'm
Uh,
stuffed. Oh, are you glad you aren't one of those peasants in one of the 10 towns? Yes, yes.
Sure. Well, if the cauldron is okay, so maybe I've jumped the gun a little bit, and because you wouldn't just create food or water without something to put it in. I would have asked, hey, I can make some food. If you've got something to store water in, we can have plenty of water for us. And I like, can I store water in the cauldron?
Oh yeah.
Tax is like holding up a little like what do you call those things? Not the test tube, but the
An Erlenmeyer flask.
one of those like this. You Water?
So yes. And then technically, Connie, the range of this spell is 30 feet. So if you 30 feet is outside, does hit outside the dome. Although magical effects can't pass outside the dome.
Correct. Yeah.
So nope. Sorry, you have to fend for
There's now
yourself.
this layer of condensation on the inside of the dome. The water's materialized.
You gotta melt your own snow.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Anyway,
At least
so
it's not
yes.
tainted.
Picnic blanket out, 45 pounds of food.
Ooh.
Everyone's water containers are now filled. And how much does this cauldron hold?
Poop ton.
Someone has that written down.
It's quite sizable.
It is quite sizable.
Wasn't it like 30 gallons or some
Yeah,
bullshit?
Yeah, I thought it was like 35 gallons or something like
35.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. It can hold up to 30 gallons of liquid, so it could
Okay.
perfectly hold what you got there.
So between filling up everyone's water container, there's probably 28 gallons of water actually in this cauldron now. And
I mean, you guys can figure that out. The water itself will last indefinitely. The
food expires in like 24 hours.
It does expire
Yeah.
in 24 hours, but there is
does.
enough of it for you guys to eat well. And if you get really sad and you don't like I imagine it's like the food is bland but nourishing. So it's like
It's
unleavened
rice
bit.
cakes.
It's like rice cakes, unleavened bread. It's just like
Yeah. some,
Um,
bland veggies.
Point of order. We put the water in there and no one decides to stir it.
Correct.
I mean, if you want to, you can.
Audric doesn't know to stir it yet. He doesn't know exactly what this is.
Oh, no.
Still.
Because Tax, as a matter of science, would want to know how this transfigurates into the soup. So she would just be like, very cool, and like take a drink and then stir it herself. Because she's experimenting.
Cool.
Well, how long do you wish to stir it?
Because we know what it does. We've been told
Right.
what it does.
Right. If you stir it for a minute, it will become a hearty stew.
In a similar fashion, Galen takes one of the rice cakes and tries to throw it out of the dome to see if it, as a magical effect, will exit the dome or not.
It exits the dome because it is now a physical object.
Okay.
And Tax, having been aware of how the cauldron works, you're able to, you take the water that's left after everyone, kind of fills their things, and you give it the old stir for a minute, and then it actually like transmutates into a hearty hot stew. And there are 28 gallons. It will provide a nourishing meal for up to 4 people per gallon. So you now have enough food to feed over 100 people.
It's also a heavier cauldron. So if anyone else wants to move it, now it's harder.
I feel like that cauldron's in place now.
Right. Well, interestingly enough,
'Cause so 1 gallon of water is equal to 5
Four-
pounds,
four-
right? Or is
four-
it 8 pounds?
it's 4 people. 1 gallon is a nourishing meal for
No,
up to
I'm
4
just-
people.
I'm talking about straight up weight. Like 1 gallon of water, I think, is 5 pounds. I think.
With
Either
Google, we
5 or
can find
8.
this out.
It's 8 because the 5-gallon is
1 gallon.
yeah.
Yeah.
8.34 pounds.
Okay.
I'm gonna
So
say there's
8
28
pounds
gallons of stew
water.
in here because we probably use 2 gallons between everyone's water container, like personal water stuff.
Yeah.
So math says 28 times 8.34 is an additional 233.5 pounds.
And
Right.
that's assuming that the stew is the same weight as water, which we all know it won't be. And I would imagine it's like 3 times as much.
Yeah,
Depending on
it's
the
it's
contents.
definitely a little heavier. I mean, if you're worried about somebody running off with it, Audric, you can cheerfully let them know that unless someone actually dispels the dome, they won't be able to get into it to get it.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. I'm just wondering, like, do we have a 700-pound cauldron
Yes.
somewhere in this dome with us? And
Yes, you do.
And I'm liking it.
Yes, you do. And the cauldron itself, even though the stew inside the cauldron, as long as it is in the cauldron, is kind of a steaming, piping hot, the cauldron itself is cool to the touch.
Oh,
So the
Cool.
cauldron itself is not radiating heat. The stew inside the cauldron is kind of radiating heat up a little bit and does kind of warm the inside of the dome because it's not that big. And so that and the moisture and the heat, and pretty soon it's kind of warm and humid and smells like hardtack and stew.
oh,
So
Yeah.
I'm fine with that in general. The spell says the inside is dry and comfortable. I don't know if that means that the spell makes it dry and comfortable at all times,
Yeah.
or it makes the outside conditions irrelevant, creates its own atmosphere at the time of casting, and then whatever happens after that can affect it.
I think it's supposed to be always nice and comfortable. Pardon my yawn. I think it's supposed to be always nice and comfortable inside the dome. The
Sure.
dome is self-regulating.
But the smell of good warm stew is a nice, comfortable smell in the Icewind Dale. So I'm all for that.
Oh yeah.
Right?
After Tax eats, takes massive amounts of notes, she will find a bowl in her pack and walk it out to the newest friend, who she has a dolly-like drawing of that she needs to help, but she's also like doing more hair.
Alrighty. Well, you could take that out to Connie and y'all can work that out amongst yourselves. So how do you go about that, Tax?
Oh, I like she's already seen me drawing her, so I say here, and no words exchanged, just out with the book to the Connie page that has several different versions of hair, and begins drawing again, and everyone's look up for reference. No explanation, just here go.
I set the bowl down, look up at you from my own book, and try to remember the accent. Give me a second. And just where did this food come from?
Oh, it's magic. And then I go, oh, sorry. And then I start to explain what kind of spell is the magic cauldron spell?
Transmutation.
Yep.
Transmutation. I will try to explain the transmutation in the most specific scientific terms, turning to the page for which I made notes as the soup was turning. See, so I started for a minute. I did clockwise because I felt like counterclockwise might do a chowder instead of a stew, and I felt like it called for stew, and I want to follow the instructions first. That's how we learn. You follow it first and then you experiment, and then like just on and on and on and on and on.
Connie, you do glean from her explanation that the stew was arrived by arcane means, not by divine means.
I feel like he's froze, and we have.
He
lost
is
time.
frozen.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
couldn't tell either way.
Yep.
Which I find humorous.
There we go.
He's
There
back.
he is.
He's back. And he's moving, so that's good.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Something happened here. We're not sure what.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah, everything just paused. The last thing I was asking Lisa a question. I don't know if the question got all the way out.
it did not.
Okay, Lisa, the important question is when you're explaining to Connie where this soup came from, do you mention where the water came from?
No, I would just say stir the water, because though I'm
so you
observant,
would-
I would not be like, so the guy did this spell, which is this kind of magic, which is normally a tax thing, but I'm trying to be succinct. And that's
So-
gonna take a minute.
So you would not tell me where that water came from, which means I'm going to eat this fucking soup and taint my body with God shit.
Technically, no, because it's been transmutated.
God.
Literally.
Yeah. Do you feed your vegan friends like real cheese on the sly? What the fuck?
Do you feed your, non-dwarf eating friends dwarf meat?
I don't. Connie absolutely would never do that. That's a completely different fucker. But okay, if her explanation of it doesn't sound like God shit to me, I eat the soup.
Yum, soup. What's the weather like outside? I want to know what Connie is enduring.
The weather outside is frightful, but the soup
I
inside
mean-
is delightful.
God damn it. I hate to admit it, but I was thinking the same thing.
I
So
just
the
like that I
weather,
can just tee them up.
the weather outside is cold and dark. The bright patch in the sky has sunk beneath the horizon, and a light snow has begun to fall that you feel is probably going to turn heavier, maybe nastier as the night goes on.
In that case, Tax would create bonfire. Just like, and then continue on with her sketching.
I will just continue reading my book. Until I've
Outside the
read my book.
dome, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. No, I'm talking about her bonfire.
Oh yeah, the
Oh.
bonfire is outside because Tax is outside because she went to draw Connie until
Right. Just making
Until-
sure. Just making sure.
And, you know, eventually I will move on to meditation and my kata. Depending on how long Tax stays out here with me.
Right. Well,
She may witness all that shit.
honest.
I would imagine Tax is gonna stay out until Sistan or Dalph comes and gets them to tell them to go to bed. Like,
Right. So what is everyone else going to do before retiring for the evening?
Just a point of clarification in case it comes up, as these are things that characteristics I have to decide. The dome is opaque from the outside of any color I choose, but is transparent on the inside. The color I am choosing is kind of white, so that it just blends in with everything and is mostly more or less camouflaged.
Sistan wants to do a little scouting around the area to see if there might have been any tracks from the last time we were here to check on our friend. And just to refresh my memory, the Croesus is in kind of one of the earlier encountered areas, right?
It's like 2 floors down, I think. You're muted, Joe.
So yes, Croesus is on the 3rd level. So, I mean, you know the path pretty well. It's easy enough to get to. It's only been a few days since you've been there, so if you wish to go back there, you certainly can very easily.
Well, first I want to be doing reconnaissance on the outside to see if there looks like there's been anybody that's made their way in.
Give me a nature check or a survival check, your choice.
Be survival.
Looks clear to you.
Awesome.
Yep. No tracks, no trace. I mean, it looks. I mean, it has been a couple of days. It has snowed. You don't see anything fresh that catches your attention. There's no like disruption on the ground or disruption of the snow. Looks pretty good to you.
Awesome. Does anybody want to go in with me just to check on Croesus?
yes. Out of nowhere,
I'll go.
like loudly.
Okay.
Connie
Don-
will get up.
Don is checking on Miranda, so I don't know if he will be coming or not.
All right.
He'll be coming, but we can.
No,
I'm here and I heard what's going on. Is this the same night? So like Robert can't leave this area, right?
Yes,
correct.
Odric is just gonna stay inside. If he
Right.
leaves the hut, it disappears.
I'll hang out here. Yeah.
Sandalphon and Varuk will also hang back.
Yep.
Just so that nobody feels unsafe or unprotected. So, okay. You're able to find the little side tunnel that leads down to the 1st level really easily. You make your way. Mm-hmm. You travel easily back down to the 3rd level, where you met the simulacrum and his white bodyguard, and where the Croesus statue should be, but it's not.
Oh,
Someone's gone and
Oh,
Stolen
I have something for this. I'm very excited.
are they laughing and drinking and having a party since we went 2 floors down?
Ha.
Oh.
With the disappearance of Croesus, you know, Tax is interested because how did it lift? How did it move? Where are the drag marks? Where is the dust that has moved? So she's using her observance and investigating at a 22.
Oddly enough, Tax, you can see. Now, keep in mind, this is not like a very fluid environment, right? This is a pretty static environment. So there's not like a circle of dust where the statue was or anything like that. You remember the location where it was. You don't see any drag marks. You don't see any like extra footprints or tooling or some place where like a lift was set up or some sort of pulley system. None of that. It is just as though the statue has vanished.
Arcana check on what kind of magic I could possibly know that would move and or disappear something of that size and weight.
Give it to
so
me.
It's not as good as investigate. Let's see. Oh, it's not good at all today.
I mean, as knowledgeable as you are about engineering, what amounts to physical engineering, and even the amount of arcana or arcana infused, improved engineering, you're not really sure. I mean, you're confident that if a magic user of sufficient power decided they wanted to move something, even something very heavy, they could do it. But you don't know of the mechanics involved. You wouldn't be able to identify a spell yourself that could do it. And it is certainly beyond your ability to do.
And then with the prior investigation roll, so there is not one shred of evidence at all that there was another living, moving thing in this room.
I mean, there are several living, moving things in this room. Namely, all of you, right? Since all of you.
I'm Sherlock Holmes over here, friend.
You understand that the lack of evidence is not evidence of lack. Actually, hang on.
I mean,
I need to
would lay down and lick the ground.
Right.
Because one, Rod showed her that, and two, that is her level of, I'm gonna figure out what the fuck is happening here.
Okay, let me look up. Let me look up a spell real quick.
You are too.
What's quirky about your D&D character? Oh, mine licks the ground for investigation checks.
Yep.
Mine just has pica.
She's like, that's my favorite thing. And I can burn it.
She saw Broad do
Yeah.
it, and she has become observant since then.
Correct. Correct. So you find it very curious that you know something or someone or someone's had to come down here and do something to move this statue off. You literally can find no trace of their actions, as though they have passed without a trace.
All right. All right.
The plot thickens.
And because of all of this, I know we've been gone for approximately 72 hours. And there's like not even a time, like a way to tell the time. Like I can't,
Hold up, grandbaby, live grandbaby. Here, show.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you can. Here you go.
Okay.
There's a baby.
Live grandbaby. Oh my. Oh,
She's
yep.
like, nope.
Yep. No, she's like, no, don't like all the noise.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. So,
has anyone considered the possibility that Croesus was faking it?
so
Kinda like,
you were last here in the upside down tower on the 22nd, and it is now the evening of the 24th. So it's been 48 hours.
and there's no sense that it was immediately when we left, because we didn't go very far, right?
You went to East Haven.
And there was no tracks to and from. So the person who made this disappear could have very well been in here while we were here. If they leave such no traces.
Right. Or alternatively, while the environment inside the upside down tower is very static, the environment outside the upside down tower is very dynamic. And it snows almost with alarming regularity at least once a day. At least.
So
So
Player
the chan-
Robert. Yeah, Player Robert says, how much do we trust this people that just made a deal with us, What can they get on the black market for a dragonborn stuck in carbonite? So those are the questions you should be asking. Of course, Audric has no idea because he's stuck in the dome and he doesn't know. He's just making camp.
Mhm.
Well, if it makes Audric feel any better, like he's Connie's suspect number one.
I hope that's not the case, because Galen's like, I'm warm. I'm warm. Gloves are off, hands are spread out wide.
Yeah.
Please don't be a bad guy. Please don't be a bad guy.
Water every day to make, all of the food.
And you're
this
like,
is
could
great.
you teach me how to do this? He's like, no.
Let me teach you about the ways of our of our friend. Teach you about the
Right. So,
helm.
Yeah, the statue is just, there is a noticeable lack of a Croesus statue. Where the last time you were here, there was a noticeable presence of Croesus statue.
I will, as Tax, she's like straight up going the Sherlock route. So as she's licking the ground, she's like, nothing. 24 hours. Like saying this all out loud in a way in which the other people in the room would think that she is either insane or this is her way of telling them what is going on. So
Yeah, we know.
yeah. Well, Siston is just like, oh, okay. And I don't know what Connie's like. Has Connie ever seen like a gnome just get on and like start measuring, licking the ground, smelling around?
Have you guys seen the show Sherlock that had what's her name from? I think she was in Charlie's Angels. She was the
Thinking elementary.
elementary. Yes.
Elementary.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And how I loved his portrayal of Sherlock because he was kind of like, definitely on a spectrum, but he was, kind of making his way. That's what I think about when I think of Tax. She's just like,
I think that show went on a little too long, but I think it was a phenomenal adaptation of Sherlock.
yes, I loved it.
So somewhere between that and Cumberbatch, where Tax is talking, if Watson is there, that's cool, but Tax is explaining to the air what she is finding.
And what she's finding is a whole
Is
lot
not-
of nothing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
strange amount of nothing, as if it was purposely nothing.
Actually, yes. Almost as if there's really not a skill called deduction. There should be.
Insight, maybe.
Yeah, you could make an insight
Insight
check.
and an investigation. Right.
In
I mean,
fact,
I think
you know what? All of you who are down there, make an insight check. Let's see what
Good, because
I think investigation plus
I'm good
insight
at.
is
Inside,
usually
I got
what does
dick.
this.
Let's see. Okay.
Insight.
Oh, look at that. All good numbers.
Man, I'm sad. I'm trained in insight.
Right. So as Tax explains to you, like, well, it was here and now it's not. And you both kind of look around and you're like, because you both remember the last time you hear statue. You get the feeling, both as a demonstration of the differences in power level and also to make sure you upheld your end of the bargain. They used some sort of teleportation or some other sort of traveling or moving kind of magic to wander off with 2 tons of fun.
Right. Like I said, it's Audric.
If anyone comes in and talks to Audric, I'm sure he'll have opinions.
What Tax is going on? And this, she'll probably say this out loud. She's like, it was probably the plant people. They came and they put a plant in his hand. And they disappeared with him and the plant. But there's no footsteps. How could they have done it? Like, so in Tax's mind, I guess it is Broad's sister and her merry bunch of priestesses. And to her, they have put a plant in Crossus's hand so he can travel similarly as they do amongst the plants.
There's not a lot of plants in Icewind Dale. The plant people. I mean, it absolutely sounds like something Tax would say.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, it could make perfect sense, but through all of the filters of Tax's brains and the way that Tax is thinking, it comes out as plant people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, all of you, well, Audric and Connie, you haven't seen this, but the rest of you have seen the people whom are associated with Finra. Like one of them, well, no, none of you were there. Shit. you have seen them use plants to travel. So it's almost as if they were doing some sort of like transport via plants, or as I like to call it, tree laport.
That is Tax's theory with her investigation in insight and arcana. Is there a way for no? Because that would be a little cheaty. I mean, you're like, how close is Tax? Are we hot? Are we cold? Are we medium?
I mean, you feel like your logic is unassailable.
Yeah.
You
I know,
always
Tax would be like, this is it.
Yeah,
Until I
you
get scientific evidence
right,
to convince me otherwise.
but you always feel like your logic is unassailable.
Yes.
So right. So you're like, yep, nope, this is it. They put a plant in his hand, and that's how they did it. It was the plant people, and they suck, and Croesus is gone, and we don't like it. What else would you like to do?
Well, not to state the obvious, but we can't get him back tonight. I'm going back to bed. Good night, y'all. I leave.
Fair
I go
enough.
set up my little pup tent and
Yeah. Go
So
back to the
this-
hut.
This is going to be a little bit challenging for me as the player, Lisa, because I was here for the beginning, but I wasn't here for the end, and I definitely wasn't here for this, even though Tax was here for this. Was there anything in the other rooms from the first time we got here that we didn't loot or take with us that Tax would want to check on? Because remember, she has drawn, like, the entire time she was here, she was drawing maps and diagrams of how the spire turned upside down and all of that.
There's nothing. There's nothing that strikes you as having changed.
Okay.
It's only been a couple of days. You are, and you've been here in Icewind Dale a little while. You know that eventually someone or something will figure out that this is now, a place that they could make a home out of. They could make a stronghold out of. They could, but that doesn't happen immediately. So if someone or something or a group of someones or some things were to do that, number one, first they'd have to discover it. I mean, it wouldn't be unreasonable. I mean, it's not like you guys stumbled upon this place. You guys knew it was here, or you at least had an idea that it was here, and you kind of knew where to look. The environment of Icewind Dale does not make, searching missions easy. Now, if the environment and the weather were different, you would be able to see, kind of the wreckage from a distance. But the weather and the terrain kind of work together to keep this place. It's not immediately visible, and even if you were to see rock sticking out of the ground, there's not an easy apparent path inside. So first you'd have to find the place. Second, you'd have to find the little cave system that goes into it, the little tunnel that goes into it. So, it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable that no one has made their way in here. At least no one who doesn't already know about it.
Well, I mean, someone has made it in here.
Well, sure. But I mean, Finra made it in here when you guys were in here.
Tax does have an unanswered question in her head, so she will be indeed trying to unlock that mystery, which is in order to teleport Croesus out via plant, which she is very sure that they have done, someone would have had to teleport in with a plant, with another plant, which means that they would have to cross the threshold, walk, like there would have to be some sort of physical thing. But Finra was able to do it before without plant, if I am understanding the plot.
Finra actually just walked in.
Okay.
Yep. She walked in at the end shortly after we defeated the Basilisk that
Okay.
rock solided Croesus.
Right. And
and she walked out?
you don't know. You left no, wait, you both basically left at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. You didn't see Finra herself use any form of tree Laporte or any other form of teleportation magic.
But I also don't see any trace that she did that again.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And Tax has never encountered someone that has cast any form of magic, such as Pass Without Trace or things like that that specifically say this person under the effect of the spell does not leave tracks or a trace.
Yeah.
So to her, it's definitely a question mark as to what exactly happened.
Okay.
So you guys walk and climb and go back to the surface. Connie, you make your camp. What are you guys gonna do?
Tax would start to interrogate I was gonna call you Danowig. Is that right? Dalen? Donwin? What's your name?
I'm Dalen,
Dalen. Ah, I was right.
but I'm in the dome right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When we come back, I will interrogate you. So
All right.
So at this point, Audric is still in his full armor and everything, deciding it prudent to wait for everyone to return, just in case he had to leave.
Well,
I'm in my undies, just sitting.
so when he said make yourself at home, he didn't mean like all the way at home.
Hey,
buddy.
I mean, you know,
Be specific, man.
Then like, how long does this last?
Yeah.
So people are returning. Does everyone return? Does anybody stay to investigate?
Nope, everyone returns.
Upon returning, Audric is going to ask them, did you find your friend?
Tax will look at Siston and pause for a second before she goes off.
I will say he is gone. There's no trace of him. And I'll look at Danowit like maybe somebody has located object.
Before Audric can be concerned or show an expression, Tax does Tax.
Oh yeah, as soon as she says that, Tax goes, and here, there's no trace as if that this. There's no smell in there. There's this. My hypothesis is that the tree teleportation people came and put a plant upon Croesus and then transferred him out this way. This is the only thing. And then she will take the piece of Croesus that she has, because she did take a piece of Croesus, and start to stare at it more and try to switch her magical clock watch thing that she has, to see what she can do.
Is there a
Oh boy.
possibility it's invisible? Did you like check to see if it was where it was, or did you just assume?
See, you asked. So Tax will again go on to specifically her scientific method of investigating. And so A through Z95.
All right.
So first this. In your practices, I've noticed that we use different tactics when it comes to things. I imbue things. He prays. I'm very interested. I would like to question you later. And would you mind if I get a sample of your hair? But back to the point. And then
Your small friend is very thorough.
Pull a chest hair
Yeah,
out.
I have to assume with the investigation and insight rolls that happened in that room, if the answer was the statue's invisible, we would have found it.
Very good.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is inconceivable that Tax would go where the statue suddenly was not and not immediately begin feeling around, poking, prodding,
The first thing she would do.
right?
At least
So
one of.
yeah, and especially with those investigation rolls. I mean,
oh, yeah, and I mean
if it were there in that room or on that level or kind of anywhere else, then you feel like it would, excuse me, you feel really confident that you would have laid hands on, you would have detected it. Even if it were invisible, you would have felt like, okay,
I mean,
this is vaguely Croesus shaped, even though I cannot see it.
oh, well, like if you needed me to, I do have like detect magic, so I can burn that spell.
Right.
I don't mind if we want to
So-
retcon it because I was
so-
being super thorough.
Right. Danawick, as Tax is telling you this story, make an Arcana check with advantage. Wow.
Wow.
Medium.
A 4 and 3.
Right. So with that roll, you're not certain of the details, but you have heard your master talk about, higher level, not the highest, but say 6th or 7th, somewhere in there, level magic that allows you to indeed touch an object and teleport it somewhere else.
Okay.
So you feel pretty confident that that's probably what happened.
Okay.
And you think, okay. And then Siston, you do not have, or you have not used Pass Without Trace, have you? Do you know Pass Without Trace?
I know. I don't have it. I don't see it.
Okay. So can you not get it, or do you just not have it?
Let me see. No, it's not coming up under known spells.
Well, maybe not under known, but under like any possible ones. 'Cause cleric magic is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this would have anything that I had access to. No.
Probably a ranger or druid spell, but not a.
Yep.
I have a spell of non-detection. It can be a willing creature or object. But
Well, it
that's
also it also comes under the trickery domain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Hey, Joe, I sent you a message on Facebook when you get a
You-
chance.
Alrighty, give me just
Take your time.
one.
It's not super urgent. We need to get to it before long rest time.
Right on. The answer to that is I don't know. Why becomes the question.
Well, okay. Here, I will tell you. I will copy the rule I am talking about.
Okay.
I mean, I think the why should be pretty obvious because I'm planning on doing it. I just want to know the consequences of my doing it.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I mean, Xanathar is canon, so
Okay.
and you know that has always bugged me that like if you didn't sleep, you immediately got a level of exhaustion. Just here you go. Have some exhaustion. And there are definitely some classes that don't, really need to work on that. Okay. So System, give me a religion check.
Yeah.
There we go. The first competent member of the party all night, other than Tax.
We did.
Right.
We all did
I think
very. On,
everyone's been doing really well, with one exception.
Right.
No. I rolled a couple ones.
Right. So while it's not necessarily in your purview, you know of other members of your tribe and of your people that follow different paths, and you seem to recall a spell that was very, very helpful at times that allowed people to move through an area and not be detected, and to not only be hard to detect while they were moving through the area, but that after that they literally left no trace that they were there. Like there would be no evidence of their passing or travel. So with between that and Dalen, I don't know if you guys have these eureka moments and then don't talk about them. That's up to you. But
Until Dalen says it, it hasn't been said.
all right, so
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I would have said, when they were talking about it, I could say that I do know that there are spells, transmutational or transpositional spells of a level I cannot cast that can move objects, huge objects at will.
technically conjuration, oddly enough.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be conjuration. I always think of conjuration as bringing it to me, but it's you're correct.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised at that too.
Upon hearing this, Tax starts to reformulate her hypothesis
Yes.
and write down her new hypothesis.
Right on.
So it sounds like we may want to question the motives of who's ever helping us. Or it sounds like this cauldron is pretty important. Having witnessed it, this is some, pretty important stuff that could easily, attract the attention of some powerful people. They seem to have wanted it from you, from what I've gathered from you guys, and they had something that they've held over you, with their, with regarding your friend there. How much do you trust these people to have not just taken your friend as insurance? That's what I would have done.
Well, it would have been hard. I don't know that you could have done it. It was huge. It was very heavy. They would have had to have magical means that would not have been obvious to us at the time to be able to remove the statue.
Sure. I don't mean like me personally, but like
Theoretically,
had I the ability
yeah.
and needed something of this importance, and the easiest way to get there is to coerce you to do it, then that's what I could see them doing.
I would less think of it as coercion and more as they promised something that could only be delivered if Croesus were present. We had to make the gut-wrenching decision to leave him behind as we went to find the other pieces.
Sure.
Maybe they had the ability, and maybe it was fairly easy for them, barely an inconvenience for them to
Super easy. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Barely an inconvenience to take him where he would be safe. I was concerned and went to check on him because I didn't feel completely safe in this outpost so far away, and I prefer to think of them as ensuring that they have what is needed to live up to their side of the bargain, and hopefully that includes that he is safe.
Well, that's very prudent. We're certainly not completely safe out here. And if the people of which you speak do have the power to restore your friend from stone, as it were, they are surely powerful people indeed. How much do you trust them to keep up their end of the bargain?
Technically speaking, they had the opportunity to kill us and they haven't killed us. However, they seem to be untrustworthy as they are working counterintuitively to our goals.
Well, they didn't kill you guys then because you had something they needed, which we have so carefully brought to them. Now,
this is the second time they didn't kill us.
Did they need anything from us the first time?
Everybody just
technically the life of
looks at Dalph and doesn't say anything.
Right. Dalph just kind of crosses their arms and kind of like.
I mean, I haven't met these people per se, but
for flavor's sake, and Allie could verify. I'm imagining Dalph just kind of takes Cax and just goes.
Right.
If this is powerful stuff. There are people out there who could do great harm or great good with this. If you have their attention, hopefully their interests are benign, but this greatly concerns me. If your friend is missing, that's the one bargaining piece that they were using kind of to get to this cauldron, and now we've brought it here. The shelter we have in place will protect us, probably not from people of their power. So we probably need to find a way to keep this cauldron safe, if it truly is a means to an end to get to your friend.
Well spoken.
I'm slightly curious, and I know I'm not there, so this is Jay being slightly curious. But I am slightly curious about how Robert envisions the cauldron being used for great harm. Like, are we going to drown people in the soup? Like,
well, okay, so resources can be exploited, right? If like for good, the obvious thing is, okay, there's a food shortage, so you feed everybody is fed, they don't have to worry about food, which means they can spend their efforts on everything. Civilization grows, society grows, life is good. But if you then keep that for specific people, only specific people have power, they can then use it to then enslave other people, take away all the food except for the food that we give you, because then we control the food supply, anything like that,
Oh, so it was like my original idea of wrecking the economy with it.
Sure.
That is
Yes.
I want to push my idea of baptismal font again. I think a soupy baby would be lovely.
So-
I would like to point out that Broad gets a lot of grief for the whole dwarf meat thing. Broad never suggested putting a baby in a stew.
Soupy baby.
Are you sure?
Nor did he try to poison the baby Yeti. That was going to be all tax.
Yeah. It's a baby sandwich. It has a secret ingredient. What's the secret ingredient? It's baby.
Well, that doesn't sound very secret if you call it.
Right. So what are you doing? I'm smoking crack through a hollowed out baby skull. Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty.
That's a choice.
That's a choice. That is a choice. So
That's an image.
yeah. So okay. Lamplighters. Jay, do you have your answer
Yeah, I'll risk it.
for the biscuit?
Yeah, I will take a short rest sometime overnight since you don't have to sleep to do that. And
Correct.
you can stay semi-alert.
Yes, you can.
But I am going to keep my eyes focused on the dome to make sure Godbotherer doesn't try to sneak into the tower in the middle of the night.
That's a good idea.
Say that out loud to the party, why don't you?
Right. So
Well, Jay wants you all to know that. Obviously,
Sure.
Connie is being more surreptitious. about it.
right. So those of you in the dome, is it night time?
Yes, I took a nap. I mean, like a long nap.
Before we actually go to nighttime, Audric is going to suggest that we should be more vigilant in our watches this evening. I have a suspicion we are being observed, or could be being observed by.
You're right, Audric. You are being observed.
he looks directly at you, Connie.
You are correct, just not in the way you think.
We like I said, we should be protected by from most of the wildlife, but I do not trust your acquaintances here. And with that, he offers to be on first watch.
You can't be on first watch. And Tax will say this out loud.
He just kind of looks confused, as if looking for a reason.
You can't leave.
Guys,
Upon my
right back.
hypothesis of how this works, if this structure is dependent upon your faith, then if you leave, this structure no longer exists.
I have no intention of leaving to keep watch.
Are we going to have an outside watch and an inside watch?
You can look outside from the inside. It's
Yes.
opaque out looking in, but it's translucent looking out.
There's that. And in addition, let me find, hold on. Oh, nope, can't do that yet. But oh, maybe I can. Maybe it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to tap on your place a hand on your shoulder, Tax.
Mm-hmm.
And upon doing so, there's a slight twilighty glow on my hand. And suddenly you can see quite a bit further into the night than you otherwise are used to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you typically have dark vision or the abilities? You do? Okay, well, think about if your dark vision was suddenly, I don't know, 5 times greater than normally is.
Oh, you like if Tax was a puppy, her tail would be going like this. Because now her observance has
Yeah.
more. And so
Yes.
she immediately goes to one section and starts examining everything. And then she's slowly going to rotate around the entire dome with her newfound vision.
So there's the actual text. You now have dark vision out to 300 feet.
Mhm.
Um, And-
Yo, DM, do you want me to roll several investigations or one investigation?
Just one will be fine.
Let's hope it's good.
What are you looking for? Exactly.
Oh, he just gave me the gift. All right, that's all right. Of the Eyes of Night. So
Mhm.
I am investigating now with this newfound vision. I am re-investigating all of our surroundings slowly, like sitting in one spot, looking, noting, getting
Mhm.
up, moving, and doing it again, like slowly moving to notate all of our surroundings
Okay.
in depth.
You're able to take them all in. You don't notice anything that is of immediate concern or threat. It is cold and dark, and it's snowing, and the snow is getting heavier as the evening progresses. But you don't see any movement, you don't see any motion, you don't detect any sort of like something trying to be concealed or not being concealed. You don't notice anything like brazen.
When she comes to the part where she is facing Connie and astutely staring into the distance, noting everything, what is Connie doing?
I don't know what is kind of doing.
Connie doesn't see any of this stuff because dome's
No,
opaque.
no,
and
Connie is, well, I mean, we just all bedded down. Like, what time are you doing? Is this happening? Roughly.
I mean, this is I guess during first watch because he just patted, like, I'm not even really on first watch. I'm just experimenting with the new tool I have. So
I gave it to you so you can watch with me, essentially, to explain
Okay,
why
well-
we can be inside the dome and still watch.
First watch, I'm working on Dolph's embroidery and staring at the dome.
Which
like
is
this.
accumulating snow and becoming even more blended into the environment. I just I can see that expression. I can see it.
That's what Connie's doing.
All right. Well, I'm definitely on first watch if Tax is inadvertently staying on first watch because she gets to see a whole lot for an hour.
Sure, give me some perception checks.
Bam.
And Connie, why don't you go ahead and give me a perception check as well?
I did just try. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. All right. So first,
I don't know how I can investigate so well and perceive so little, but tis
Because your
tax.
brain interprets it well. You just have to see it first.
right.
Oh.
First watch passes without interruption.
Cool.
Who's on watch the second? No one?
Well, I still.
Well, I was going
on
to say,
watch.
yep. So, Connie, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Yeah, well, if no one else in the dome is going to wake up, then
I
no one
can
else
wake
gets to be blessed.
Oh,
I-
that was shitty.
That was. Are you going to wake someone up? Someone?
Yeah, I'm going to wake up Siston. And with you, Siston, as I wake you up, I'm also going to give you the blessing, and I'm going to expend a first level spell slot to do so. So for an hour of that watch, you can see.
You have amazing dark vision.
Well, since I critted on the perception roll.
Right. Yeah. I mean that goes along with it.
Yeah.
A gift from the religious being is not new to you, and so you were
Right.
able to use its gifts immediately.
Right. You can see sounds. You're confident. You are highly confident that there is you don't see anything. Second watch passes without incident. Third watch.
Take third.
Right on. Connie, give me a perception check and yep,
A little better.
a little better.
Do either of you have dark vision? Because
I do not.
I do not.
yeah, so this is prime time to strike.
All right. Well, the good news is it appears that the cat's out. It appears that the night passes without incident. The snowfall does grow heavier, and it appears to be, the wind picks up. It doesn't turn into a blizzard, but it definitely, it's an average winter storm in Icewind Dale. Pretty heavy snow, heavy wind. The temperature drops even further, like into the -60 range. The wind chill's just unbelievable. Honey, if you want to go ahead and give me that con check.
Sure thing, boss. Hold on. I know I'm the one who brought up the rule. Is it a check or a save? It is a save.
It is a save. So,
Oh, those are the same for me anyway. I don't know why I bothered.
Odric would like to attempt to wake up and wake everybody
Oh!
up before the dome ends, but
well,
And that's a level of exhaustion for Jay.
yep, there you go. You do manage to stay up though, so you're like, cool, kind of tired though.
Yeah.
kind of cold.
Right, kind of cold. So the appointed day, the 26th, the 25th of Flame Rule. I don't know if dawns is the right word, but it begins. The sky grows slightly less dark and ominous as a kind of hazy patch of brightness that you assume is the sun begins to rise, though it doesn't make much difference. You do notice that the snow has kind of fallen back to a more soft and fuzzy flurries sort of thing. It'd be quite pleasant if it weren't like this all the damn time. But
How tall is the snow accumulation around the edges of the dome?
it's several inches.
Oh, okay, not too bad.
Right. It wasn't like 60 inches of snowfall kind of blizzard,
Sure.
but it was
There was some. Cool.
yeah.
All right, well,
It was,
Odric doesn't let anybody sleep in and informs them that the magic that binds the shelter together will weaken and dissipate soon.
it will
into,
dissipate in 3.
Please
Two.
get your warm coats on.
Oh crap! Oh yeah.
And since you don't actually make any effort to get the top of the dome off, like when it vanishes, snow just falls to the ground, and you're
Yep.
all like, do you get out of the dome before it dissipates, or do you just kind of hang in to see what happens? Or I can imagine Tax is like, no, I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm towards one wouldn't call it the center. One would
Yes.
and I'm observing the center, and I would already have like a stick or something ready for measurement.
Oh yeah. Well, the dome dissipates and the snow drops. You are now covered in snow. You know, you did actually manage to get down to the bare ground last night, which was kind of interesting. But you got about 6.5, 7 inches of snow. It looks like that was accumulated on top of the dome. And
Were there any patches of the dome that did not have snow on it, like it had like fallen off or blown
well,
off?
I
Or
mean,
anything?
it's a dome.
So maybe some slid off. I don't know. I'm
Maybe
only
some
asking
slid
because
off.
that's where Odric would have stood under as the dome,
Right. Well,
knowing what was about to happen,
right.
having done
And
this many nights.
right. Also, did you guys leave the food in the cauldron? Did you guys leave the stew in the cauldron?
The stew's in. Well, Odric didn't take it out of the cauldron. It's still there. It's still warm.
Dump
Right.
it out onto the floor in the middle of the dome. We did not do that. No.
Okay, good deal. All right. So if you wish, there is still warm stew in the cauldron.
Odric is absolutely going to have some warm stew.
All right.
And he's going to motion over for Connie and says, "You should eat some of this before we have to leave it."
I had some last night. Thank you very much.
Odric has some more tasty warm stew because this is the coolest part of adventuring he's ever had in the last several months, being out in the cold.
It is.
Tax is going to do something that is going to seem strange to the non-Lamplighters or the non-new Lamplighters. She's going to take out one of her little ball bearings, and when we pour the soup out, because I'm assuming that's what we're going to have to do eventually, she's going to recreate the sound of howling wolves and leave it in the soup, hoping that Rod and his pack will know where it is and they can come and have some.
They
Okay.
gotta find it quickly. It'll freeze, I'm sure, quickly. But that is a good idea. Now, of course, Odric doesn't understand why, but he's just gonna observe.
Okay. So the morning is yours. You don't anticipate the arrival of your benefactors, I guess. You don't anticipate them arriving until, noon. So you have a few hours if you wish to prep or something you wish to do before they arrive. Assuming that they do, in fact, arrive.
Embroidery.
Well, Odric's gonna just keep watch and start tidying up everything and, try to bury whatever leftover manifested food, under the snow, just to kind of try to cover the signs of us existed. Not this, like the Tax. I hear the face. It's not the stew.
Not the soup. Tax will be like, no, we're leaving it here.
He starts with the create food or water food, the bland, whatevers. And then he'll start going towards the soup before you stop him, and he'll say, "Who are we leaving it for?"
We have friends. And if he decides to come, I want to make sure that he knows he is welcome. And no hard feelings are left. I'm very confused about feelings. And then she will go back to what she's doing. And I am looking up what Tax is doing. Give me 2 seconds. I have to look at the tool sets that she has.
That's okay. Odric just kind of looks at the rest of the party just to see, like, does this make sense? Are we waiting for other people? Do we expect other people that are friends and are looking for stew in the ground and howling wolves? Like, what? Then he goes back to hiding just covering tracks a little bit, You know, knowing the weather, we'll probably do a lot more in a little bit, but
Right, right. So if one of you wants to share their screen, there is a have moved everyone to a map.
Uh-oh.
Or you should be to a map.
I'm in a map. I just see blank and black. You may have to add my character to it.
I see stuff.
You see stuff.
Sounds like you just
Yeah.
volunteered to share your screen.
I'm sharing. I now have multiple screens again. Woo!
Oh,
Woohoo.
that works too. Ah, now you
I'm
can see.
I'm not hanging out that close to those people though.
Right. No,
Oh.
I understand.
And I hope it
Um,
goes without saying that I'm still like, you know, watching Audric like a hawk while
oh
I
no,
embroider.
I absolutely assume that to be the case.
Do I have a hootie too somewhere?
Hootie tootie.
There should,
Fresh
in
and
fact,
fruity.
be a hootie tootie, fresh and fruity. As to why there's no token. Nope, there you go.
Thank you.
It's just not right.
Can you give me control of said token?
I sure can. Do-do-do-do. There you go.
There we go. At the moment, tax is on Hoot.
Okay.
So, until I say she dismounts, wherever I go, just imagine we're together.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Anyone else have anything that they would like to do?
I put something in the Roll20 chat for you.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if someone is charmed, is it like sleep? Can you just kill them like in a coup de grace, or I'm just kidding, that's not what I was asking.
Right. Those are interesting numbers there, Dalen.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have some fuckery, but for some reason my computer is moving ridiculously slow.
As Amy Winehouse once opined, what kind of fuckery is this?
Right.
Yeah. Come on, bill tax. You can do it. It's just 1-5.
Yeah. I'm gonna check on Miranda. I'll be right back before we get into too much stuff.
Alrighty.
Okay. Hey there, these tools.
So we're going to just for the purposes of this right here, there's the cauldron hanging out right there.
Where is it?
Do you guys not see it?
I don't, but that I might not just be looking in the right place. Could you ping it?
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see it. I didn't differentiate that as a cauldron. I just thought it was a rock or something.
No, no, fair enough. You would think that some of the assets would be, there would be certain assets that would be present, but not so much.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Well, anybody have
Alright.
anything they wish to do before the appointed time?
Fuckery. I am going to use my thieves tools
Mm-hmm.
and set up, because we're okay. Quick question for the players, aka my PCs. Where my PCs at? What is the plan? Wait, are we meeting them outside? Or are we meeting them inside? Because I'm setting up traps.
Audric is going to ask if the plan was to meet inside or outside as well.
They actually didn't specify. However,
Yeah.
however, through the process of deduction, which I will give this to you for free, the one very powerful spellcaster that you guys have seen with your benefactors is a frost giant. So frost giant inside tower would be uncomfortable. So get the feeling probably going to be outside.
Okay.
Odric is
I
going
mean,
well, go ahead.
I'm just curious, well, attacking these people our plan?
I don't think it was not Odric's plan, but Odric
Well,
doesn't know this plan.
I'm saying because laying traps is an act of war. I mean,
It is. That is true.
Let me restate. I am setting traps around Dalph to keep Dalph safe.
As you start to tinker with those things, Odric is going to suggest we should take up at the entrance to the tower as a means to fall back in, as just in case. Also, we can hang out in the entrance and have some shelter from the weather.
Joe, is this the entrance right here where the X is?
Sure, that'll work.
All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't find a map that actually had the spire like
This
on
is
it.
good. Yeah.
Sure.
So you've got to figure that the spire is somewhere down here.
Got it.
The actual
Okay.
spire itself, and this is just the cave entrance there. So
Okay. If that's the cave entrance, that's fine. Odric is
So-
going to kind of post up close to it and just suggest that, hey, we can sit here, maybe even some of us can sit inside for shelter. Just that way we have a protected point, because the disappearance of your friend has me very suspicious. And I'd like to have more options than fewer options.
Oh yes. I was actually thinking about creating kind of various mounds of snow and ice, just using the shape water spell, so I could get behind cover if I need to, like just literally like here and here.
right.
Just kind of walking around, piling up some stuff. So if I needed to duck behind something, I have a couple of different places where I could go.
Absolutely. Not a
right.
problem.
Yes, Odric thinks this is a wonderful idea.
Look like a water bender out there walking around.
Very impressive.
Right. Okay. Anyone else? Any preparations you wish to make?
I don't think I have any other preparations.
Just my normal morning routine plus embroidery.
Right.
I am less concerned about this than the others because, you know, I'm
Yeah.
just along for the ride. I don't know who this Croesus dude is, really.
Well, as the hazy spot in the sky reaches its zenith.
Oh, let's move the cauldron, actually, to like inside this little circle of stuff.
Wherever
Yes. Perfect.
wherever Dalph is, that is where Tax will be, and there will be Tax will also signify to Dalph where all of the traps are. So Dalph can get in, or sorry, Dalph can get out, but no one hopefully will be able to just approach her and touch them like they do sometimes. I don't like it. I don't
What
like
kind
it
of
one
traps
bit.
are you setting?
Honestly, probably bear traps.
Ouch. I don't think they're bears. Oh, doesn't matter. Never mind.
Cool.
Okay. So as the sun reaches its zenith, there is kind of a sound, and your friend's statue appears out of thin air. The only thing that you notice kind of weird about it is that he appears to have at his feet a potted tree or plant of some kind. And right after he appears, there is there's a crack of light that appears in this little tree, and it rips open, and you can see this tunnel sort of impossibly tessellating down into the little tree, and then two figures emerge from this crack in the tree, and then it closes back up, and standing before you, some of you recognize Finra, and all of you that have seen her before recognize Princess Gryla, chosen servant of Arl, the Frost Maiden. Wearing a white robe, her frost blue skin dark in the darkened environment. She looks around at all of you, her eyes taking in each one of you, and she says, thank you. She looks, sees the cauldron. I see you have kept your end of the bargain. Very good. Then her eyes fall on Dalph.
Tax sits a little bit taller and slightly moves her steel defender in front. Mind you, Dalph themselves are taller than Tax upon the steel defender, but she still
Right.
does.
Right. No, absolutely. I get it. She says, it is good to see you, Sandalphon. Would you allow me to just see where you are. And this is the part that I checked with Allie. She says, or Dolph says, I'll allow it. And so, get on the right layer. Boop. So, Dolph does take a couple of steps forward. Ryla moves next to her, and she begins to chant a spell.
I don't have a counter spell, so it's not getting countered.
Right? And there's
So Dolph walked up there willingly.
willingly, yes.
Okay.
Tax is writing down every single movement, every single word as close as she can.
Right.
Trying to replicate the spell.
Um,
Not replicate, not like she's doing the spell, but to use her observation to transcribe.
Gotcha.
Audric would like to make an insight check to determine if this is okay
Go ahead.
and like we're fine, or like this is about to start some shit.
Go ahead. So, judging by the other members of the Lamplighters, this seems like something maybe they've seen before. And since no harm came to Dolph when it was done before, they're wary, but not like alarmed.
Okay,
And
cool.
so,
Audric makes no sudden moves
right, so
and keeps observing.
the spell completes, and Gryla looks at Dolph for a second. How very interesting. It appears someone else is having a latent influence on you. This could be interesting. And then she looks out, kind of with her hands spread wide, says, so, Lamplighters, it would appear that you're accompanying her, or accompanying them, has been beneficial for them. They are progressing quite nicely. I believe my queen will be welcoming her very soon. And Dolph kind of takes a step back, a little bit unsure, not quite sure what to make of that. But
Yeah. Audric would also like to make an insight check to see if that was a threat or a promise.
Go ahead.
Don't know.
It's definitely a thing that was said.
Yep. All right. Yeah, well,
I mean, there's no malice in what Gryla said.
okay.
And she says, okay. So, is this the cauldron? As we agreed?
Audric just looks at the cauldron and looks back at the tall frost
Right.
giant.
And she says, Finra, be a dear and verify that is the object we agreed to. And Finra kind of nods, yes, my lady. And she begins to walk over to the cauldron.
So as she makes her way over to the cauldron, Odric
Mhm.
wants to try to get a sense if these people are, what's the best way to phrase it? Aligned with Arl or aligned or related to maybe this cold weather. Like, I don't know how the best way to phrase that, but he's trying to get a sense, like he knows that there's something going on with Icewind Dale that is causing it to be a frozen hellscape, and this is the closest he's been to any real leads that haven't been a couple days cold, no pun intended. So he's trying to get a sense of, like, are these the people like, aligned with Oral that are making this happen, or
Give me not insight so much as give me a wisdom save.
okay, wisdom save.
So frost giants really like cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
You did hear this frost giant say the word "my queen." You do see the robe that she's wearing doesn't have, like, it doesn't say Arl #1 fan, or it's not like a screen print of a of an owl headed person with big claws or anything. It's not blatantly obvious, but it's not a stretch of the imagination to imagine a frost giant in service to the god of winter's wrath.
Okay.
And you do notice that Finra, whom for all intents and purposes seems to be a normal, young, probably early 20s human female, there's a couple of odd things about her. Number one, her hair is completely white. And she's dressed like she would be dressed indoors.
Mm.
And then literally everyone here, other than Gryla and Finra, is wearing heavy outdoor clothing, like designed to survive. There's heavy outdoor clothing, outerwear, boots, snowshoes, all that kind of stuff that you would have to have on, or the environment will kill you. Not it might hurt you, not it might make you cold, as in you will get hypothermia and die without this protective clothing on. And she's bebopping around like it's 75 on a spring day.
All right, so definitely blessed by something cold friendly.
So do any of you try to stop Finra as she
Odric
makes a path towards the cauldron?
Odric will not quite step in between, but definitely step forward and address Fenra, because Fenra's coming to the cauldron, and just ask, what is your intention with the cauldron? But it's in a manner that he's attempting to gain the attention of, but not be passive or aggressive.
Right. So she takes the shortest route there. She gets, next to the cauldron. Her eyes kind of narrow a little bit as she looks at you and says, I don't know you. You are not a friend of my brother's, but I merely wish to verify that this is the cauldron the Lamplighters agreed to return to us.
Have you seen your brother?
Oddly, no.
You said return to you. Did the cauldron once belong to you?
Not to me personally, no.
Well, he gestures and, sort of at Fenrir, but also at, the obvious frost giant in the room.
Right. She says, think of it as sort of like cultural property.
Insight check to see what that means.
Right. So I'll give it to you for free.
Sure.
The cauldron was found in a cave system that was at one time inhabited by frost giants.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, whether or not it literally belongs to them, this is
the last real owner may have been them.
Right. So,
okay.
So, finishing her discussion with you, Fenrir looks at the cauldron, looks at the side of it, looks at the contents, actually sticks her finger down.
As soon as she eats it, I'm like, yes.
She's like, that's good stew.
Yes.
And she looks over at Gryla and says, my lady, this is indeed the cauldron, as we discussed. And Gryla says, very well. You know what to do. And so she holds her hand up, and a ring glints on her finger, even in the dim.
I say, before anything else happens, can we go ahead and have the next step before anything in this area leaves?
And Gryla says, oh, of course. And she
just about to say the same thing.
Right. She walks over here.
It's a way to raise the counter spell. Just to
she moves the plant away from the statue. And then she sorry. Have to get back and forth between things here.
I feel it.
And then she casts a spell, touches the statue, and there is the sound, there's a hiss and a crack, and the stone begins to kind of waver and kind of undulate a little bit, and then slowly starting from where her finger touched the statue, the stone begins to turn back into the familiar red scales of Croesus's flesh until he appears.
Immediately after stop being stone, you see a big flame, a big jet of fire just go straight out 30 feet this way.
Right.
As he exhales his fire, and as soon as he finishes exhaling, he says, kill the basilisk, or I gotta find Croesus again. Kill the basilisk. And then he kind of like then he realizes he's outside. And then he's staring. He almost singes Sandalthon. And then he realizes there's the frost giant right next to him, and he kind of like moves backwards. I'm going to see if he stumbles because this is very disconcerting. Yeah, he definitely stumbles and falls backwards, looking straight up at the frost giant. And he just kind of says, guys,
It is okay. It is okay, Croesus. Calm. Calm.
that ends Croesus's, or at
Gryla,
least pauses
Gryla
Croesus's
looks
reaction.
at you, Dalen, and says, "May we proceed with
Of
that
course.
incident?"
Of course. I'll even take like a step back in a way.
Right, and Finra once again raises her hand. There is the glint of magical energy from a ring that she is wearing, and she touches the cauldron, and with the crack and hiss of displaced air, the cauldron disappears. And Finra makes her way back over next to Gryla, and she says, Gryla looks at you and says, "Thank you for your cooperation." And she looks once again at Sandalthon and says, "Well, I do suppose we will be seeing you soon. And we'll have to see about that little thing." She taps her head as she says it. And then she casts another spell. The tree at her feet rips open again. There is a portal that opens, and both she and Finra step through and are gone.
Is the tree still there?
The tree is still there.
I'm gonna go over, burn that sucker down with firebolt.
I don't know if you saw in the chat or on the screen, but Tax rode, like, as they're doing everything with the cauldron, Tax has written it off, and she rides over to Croesus and starts to investigate him.
Okay.
Joe, I'm serious. They can't come back to that tree to get back to here.
No, they cannot.
Okay. And so I'm assuming somebody goes and checks on Croesus, but I'm burning a little tree down.
Right. He's like, nope, fuck that tree.
Probably sacrilege
I'm
here,
checking
but
on
I'm
Croesus.
doing that.
And Dalph.
You're going to check on Dolph?
I'm gonna check on Croesus first, and then I'll also check on Dalph.
Okay.
Guys, can someone tell
Wait.
me what is going on?
Yeah,
So-
when I
But
walk
yes, go
over
on.
there. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe, go ahead, because I kept cutting him off.
Oh no. Tax, you approach Croesus, and other than a small piece of cloth that matches up with the small piece of stone that you have in your possession that you chipped off, this appears to be a fully formed and fully functional Croesus. And when you check the piece of stone that you had that you collected as a sample,
Mm-hmm.
it is now a piece of cloth.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
And Sistin, you said you wish to check out Croesus?
Yeah.
Give me
And talk to him.
right. Give me a medicine check with advantage.
All right.
Well,
Twice. Yeah.
So,
Dang, girl.
you take a few moments. You kind of like, okay, can you bend this? Can you do this? And tap him with a little hammer, checking his reflexes. He appears completely healthy, perfectly fine. And if you wish to talk to him, please go right ahead. And do you guys know if Allie is awake or not?
She should
She
be.
is she's super stressed.
Right.
She
Okay.
said she's been crying, so I'm not gonna.
Okay. That's that sucks. Ugh.
She's had finals all week, and she has a 10-page paper due tomorrow. The presentation for the 10-page paper was today. She's supposed to use the feedback she got from her instructor in her class to help write the paper. So there's just this common like, oh my God. Can have a lot of it, but she's been tracing down references and doing some different things based on that. But she's like, I am just dead. I mean, she had differential equations and linear algebra, and like those things also happened.
Right. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to try and get her, but I was going to message her just to see if she had any immediate reaction, but it's not important compared to that. So
Thank you for asking.
yeah. So yeah,
And
we can I can bring her up to speed before the next session. So anyway, you have
Croesus, you know the basilisk we were fighting?
Yeah, I was going to burn it down. What happened?
So you caught its eye.
But I told everybody not to look.
I know. So we've been very worried, and I do not have the capability to restore that type of injury. So
What injury? I was there and now I'm out here. How did that happen? Where did you guys kill the basilisk?
we did. We did. In fact, no one else was turned to stone or petrified.
Petrified?
Yes. And not the scared
Never
kind.
seen a wide-eyed dragonborn surprised or like worried, but you see one now.
But Finra, Brodjaga's sister, came and agreed to help you if we provided the cauldron.
With that, you see kind of his expression turn from surprise to concern. At the mention of like trading the cauldron for him.
Mm-hmm.
But their cauldron, why would you give that away?
Well, I hope we were just hiding it anyway, and it's not as good as you anyway.
He seems to have he takes that as a genuine compliment, but then still seems concerned. I feel like the cauldron was super helpful to everybody around here, or could have been. I'm just one person.
Croesus, it could have been, and it might be again at some time, but that cauldron has been hidden away for a long time. We didn't get a chance to use it yet. We know it exists now. It's not done. Its story is not done, but we did not want your story to be done either.
Wow, well, this is true. We can go find the cauldron. And for that, he seems to kind of like get a big grin, and then we can have stew.
So just for flavor text, while this conversation is happening, Tax is still investigating. So as you're talking, she's touching your scales, she's measuring things, she's like poking around, and then when you say, and we can have stew, she'll just go, oh, and then she'll get in her bag, and she doesn't necessarily have Tupperware of the stew before they poured it out, but she does have a sample of it that she'll give to you.
If we
When-
would have done stone shape, could we have like changed the structure of his body?
It's best not to think too much about that.
Okay.
Tax,
Uh,
was that your investigation check for doing like that 27 that crit? Was that what you were rolling while doing all this?
Yep.
Okay. Then if that's the case, when you touch Crossus's skin, it feels warm and like normal body temperature. It doesn't feel cold like everyone else's skin that is exposed to the cold does. Just a thing you notice.
Well, so here's a question, kind of retro gaming, not really. How close has Croesus let Tax get before?
This is absolutely the closest you've ever been.
Okay. So then she would note it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the first time you've gotten to touch Croesus.
Okay.
So
I will offer to sew your clothing back together if Tax will give up her clothing sample she has.
Croesus is gonna dust the snow and stuff off of him and stand back up, and then realize there are two new people he's never met. Who are the new friends?
Two, you've met me.
I did meet you briefly. That's right.
Yeah,
I was there for a
briefly,
session. Okay, but technically,
Yeah.
yes. Well, then there's who's the new friend? Which I wasn't prepared to answer myself for. So
but-
Tax
I'll
will take
save you the
care of it. If
trouble.
you don't want to play that out, Tax will
I'll-
recall in depth every single thing that has happened and every single thing that your other character has said, and a full report.
And I'll just say, well, he's a god botherer, you know? He's all about his faith and whatnot.
I was
You
about
know
to
the
say,
sort.
what are you going to say, Jesus? Because Jesus isn't here.
You know the sort.
He just kind of like raises an eye ridge. I wouldn't say it's an eyebrow. Raises more like an eye ridge, and just kind of like cocks his head a little bit. Like he understands, but like also not really. And then he turns back to Tax, who's still mid explanation. Odric is going to can I guess walk over to Dayland and say, I hope this was the right decision, but I am glad to see your friend back.
It was the only decision we could make. Like I said, the story of that cauldron is not necessarily done. If we had not acted as we did, his might have been. When it is empowered to affect this kind of positive change, there's no choice.
What comes next for the Lamplighter's?
Looking at the slightly lighter part of the sky where the sun is, like there are a couple of things that we need to check up on. There were some murders that were happening at a certain part of the month. We might need to get situated back to see if we can be in position to either prevent or at least figure out who's doing those.
You hear Croesus yell from, mention under his breath, murders.
Well,
I think,
Dalen, that was Cephik.
yeah.
Was that Cephik? Okay, we
Yes.
did. Okay, I wasn't 100% sure if we took care of that or not. I know we stopped him. Okay, so Go back to the rest of the notes for the other hooks that we have.
Right. The
thought.
the thing that you had talked about doing next was investigating Sunblight.
Ah,
For those damn Dwergar and their hijinks. For the
And,
devils, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. And you guys absolutely positively know more or less where it is. It is a couple days journey from where you are.
I don't think it has come up in our games as of yet, but I figured out how to do multi-class on a Roll20 character sheet should it come up for anybody.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It is not super intuitive.
Good to know.
If you were to decide to set out straight for Sunblight, it would take you 2.5, maybe 3 days to get there.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think that was our plan.
That was the plan.
I should say their plan. I am tagging along.
After I explain everything to Process, I will then immediately start interviewing you as a scientific not inquisition about so as you were petrified, you heard it. The last thing you remembered was this, but do you remember feeling anything, smell, like literally just going on a very as if you were a subject in a science experiment?
Oh, Tax, you haven't changed a bit. And then he walks away.
I mean,
So-
this isn't new. Don't you always treat all of us like we're subjects of a science experiment?
To be fair, I treated him as a friend first. I was the first
Yes.
one to go over to him. And then
You
I
were
was
the
like,
you were the first one to go over to him and begin poking him.
are you okay?
Are you alive? Poke. Oh, right. Poke. Oh, right. Poke. Right. Documenting each poke.
So
As he's
on
walking away,
this
Jack
map,
follows.
I on this map, I know it's kind of hard to tell because it's so tiny.
Well, I found a big version of that someplace.
Yeah, no, I mean I have a big version. It's just got a lot of names on it. It's got names of things you can't see yet. So this is the Redwaters. See this? So you see the Redwaters right there, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Wait, can we draw on this? Is this the thing that we can draw on? Will Zoom let us draw on this? Whiteboard. Opening a whiteboard will stop screen share. No, that's not what we want to do. Okay. So you guys are just to the west of the Redwaters. Kind of where this see the Redwaters there, and then right to the west of it, there's like a little hill right there. You guys are somewhere in there between the hill and the little stream. The Sunblight.
There's a high-res version of this map in our chat now. A link to it.
D&D Facebook chat.
Facebook chat, yes, without all the super secret stuff that I didn't
see the
even know
Redwaters.
existed.
I see Redwaters. I see Dugan's Hole. I see Goodmead.
Yeah, once again though, this doesn't.
It's at least it's high res enough so we can zoom into it. That's all.
Right.
I
Okay.
did that on the screen share, so you can.
Okay. So yeah, but that doesn't help me.
Uh,
I can't. Hang on. Oh, annotate. There we go. Okay, so you guys are basically right here
okay.
ish. Okay. And Sunlight is right here, that area.
Oh, okay.
And it is straight up overland. There's no trails, no nothing. But so yeah, probably 2.5 days. And
Seems like you guys should have a wilderness guide.
right. And um
Odric can get you there.
oddly enough, Varuk grew up in the spine of the world. So he would be of assistance getting you there.
Yep.
And yeah.
So for as long as Odric remains with the party, he is happy to assist in getting people there. Seeing as he's trained in survival and has the dome.
I was really hoping getting Croesus back meant we got rid of, the God Botherer. But
that may happen if just that doesn't happen yet.
So
it depends on if the party has what they need to get there.
I'm sure we do. Varuk, as mentioned, grew up in the area. Connie's actually been roaming around on her own for years, and is also trained in survival.
Well, here's the thing. We do not have to make the decision now, but before the next session, Robert, you will need to figure out which character you wish to continue with.
Yes.
So, having said that, there's a 2.5 day journey from where you are to where Sunlight is. A lot of that will be overland, and then some of that will be as you kind of begin to get into the spine of the world, but become more difficult. I planned on ending things here tonight.
Cool.
So we can pick up with the assumption that you guys are going to Sunlight next session.
That works.
All right.
Okay. There is one stipulation, and that is Sunlight must be done in person.
Okay.
Okay.
So stay well.
Well,
Right.
yeah. I myself am unavailable next weekend. And then the week after that is Christmas, which
I'll be out of town the Friday.
Yeah, I would be available remote, but if we have to do in person, the Christmas break is not for me.
Yeah, we're probably thinking January.
Right. So if we want to, we can plan on January 6th, or we can plan on December 30th. It's up to you guys.
Can't do the 30th.
So we can plan on January 6th.
January 6th it is. So
I can do the 6th.
I have before we call it for the night, and this can be the last thing, everyone else can go, but I need to talk to you about something, Joe, and Robert might want to stick around.
Okay,
Cool.
and
It's
actually,
about
Jay,
it's about new characters. So
right, and Jay, there is a discussion that I need to have with you as well, concerning
okay.
some things that were going on in Pandemonium.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
So,
pandemonium. I gotcha.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, all right, guys, thank you so much. I realize this is a little bit of a shorter session, but it was
that's good.
a
Yeah.
focus session, and we got
Yeah, it
things
was.
done, and we proceeded through, and you have Croesus back, so yay, mission success.
Hey.
And
You know how, Robert, I am not saying this to persuade you in any way, shape, or form, but do you know how fucked up it's going to be if Croesus like deuces at this point? Like, we traded food for the entirety of 10 towns for your life. Bye, guys.
I mean,
no,
I-
the real answer is he looks at y'all and he says, I can't stay with a group of people who would trade all that for me. Do you realize how selfish that makes you?
Yeah. Yep.
Not me.
Easily.
It's you.
I'm partial to Croesus because I did halfway design my character to fight well
Oh, we lost you.
with Croesus.
I think. Yes.
But on the other hand, the dynamic of people who follow gods and Connie is a lot of fun. So
Right.
I'm kind of neutral either way. Connie
Right on.
is not neutral. Connie very much does not want Audric to stick around. But Jay's
There-
fine.
I like Croesus as a character. There are some really cool things I wanted to test out with Audric. We'll see what
So,
happens.
are you saying we rescued you too fast? Is that
Maybe.
Well,
Oh,
Maybe
by the
not.
way, Robert, you are widely known in the Austin community and widely well known. Because I was like, my friend Kyle, who's a very avid Magic player, I was like, do you happen to know the name Robert Conley? And he's like, yes, I do. And I was just like, he's in my D&D group. And I was just like, he used to say Magic Camp, and I thought he meant illusions, but he didn't.
Which
and
Kyle?
Kyle Sackett.
oh,
Not
wow.
ringing a bell, but that doesn't mean I don't know
Wow.
him. I know lots
Your
of Kyles.
Your
No,
friend
it's-
is a nobody in the Magic community.
I mean,
Wow.
he knows the people that runs it. He has a very fabulous YouTube channel where he opens up packs of Magic, and I get every friend I know to subscribe.
Sure.
And he's up to 15. I'm like, yeah, buddy, you're gonna be a star. He's a really sweet. He's not a kid. He's like,
I mean, to be fair, like a lot of people know me because I run the Facebook group in Austin, which is 2,000 people.
Wow.
I do know some Kyles that I play with directly, but
Yeah, that's
I don't
that's-
believe you would know him directly, but
That's-
apparently you are one of the nicer, really good Magic players. Because he was like, "Wait, is Robert one of the assholes?" And I was like, "I can guarantee you, he's not.
Yeah, likely not. Yeah,
I can guarantee you."
yeah, that's like me in the Texas 40K community, because I do War Games Con and
Right.
do the thing at Game Castle. I mean,
well, that's really cool though.
yeah, that's awesome. That is
I-
really cool.
I said that to them too, because where Kyle is a Magic enthusiast, Sean Bowman, who used to be a Super Warhammer guy here in Austin, then moved to Oklahoma. I was just like, do you happen to know Joe and Chris? Like, they're in my D&D group now. My nerds are better than your nerds. Nah, 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 nah. I would never.
I remember the name
but I
Sean
feel
Bowman. I think
You remember Sean Bowman?
I think I remember that name. Keep in mind, I have met most of the people who play like competitive 40K. Like if they
Mhm.
go to like GTs and things like that, like I probably know them.
Mm.
And so I'm gonna stop recording. So